So if you have not signed in, there should be a sheet being passed around to put your name on. It's very official looking. It looks like this. So please put your name on it because we're just keeping track of how many people are here. And we're going to get started. Feel free to get up when the light comes on and go get coffee and stuff, but we just want to respect the time of the people who came to speak with us today, so we want to get going if that's okay. So we just have a couple of announcements before we let them do all the talking, and there's lots of time for questions, both during the presentation and there should be some time afterwards as well. So if I have not met you, I'm Riley.
I'm Brandy. I'm Angela.
And so we're just trying to put together meetings that you guys are willing to come to and give up your time for, so we appreciate you guys coming. We're really excited to have these ladies here today to talk to us. We think this will be really beneficial for all of us, because we all want to get out of here and get a job. So we want to know how to do that, and I think this is hopefully going to give us a little bit of an edge on how to do that. So just a couple things we need to talk about. Level 3 is doing a fundraiser for Hired in Tacoma. It's a new homeless shelter that's opening up. Does that sound familiar to any of the threes? Okay, so the Human Services Program, I guess, has challenged us to a competition to see who can raise the most goods. I don't know how it's going to be measured yet, if we're going to stick them on a bathroom scale or count the numbers of items. I have no idea. But they challenged us. So if you have not seen the announcement on the Nursing Dean page, it is there with all of the information for what we are collecting. Should be deadlines and things like that. It's Sarah Donovan is sort of the person heading that up, who's the level 3. So if you have any questions, ask her. And we can bring all of these donations into the office there. There's some boxes behind the desk right at the end there that they've got labeled for us. But be careful, because the Human Services Program will also have boxes in there. Don't put it in their boxes. Okay? Also, HIT, the Health Information Technology, is doing a 5K that they want us to support. So if you have not seen anything about that, it is coming up Saturday, March 5th. And so they want us to potentially do like a booth there. Yeah. So if there's anybody that would be interested in maybe doing blood pressures or health screenings of some kind, we can talk about if there's something that we as an organization can do to be supportive of that, or if you want to run, if you are a runner. I am not. Go for it. They would love that too. So there should be more information you can get on this as well. So March 5th.
And you can walk too, and the trails are going to be like throughout campus, and so
yeah, so it'll be right around here.
And the fundraising, it's 25% of the T-shirt, and then it goes to scholarships and stuff.
Yeah. So if we can help support some of the other health education stuff, that would be helpful. And then if Colleen wanted to talk a little bit about, so we're trying to figure out what is the best use of our snow budget, because I think you guys have been doing great about contributing for coffee and for snacks and stuff like that, and we want to try to make sure that we're using our funds in a way that is kind of beneficial to the school and how we can be representative of the school in the community and even national.
Yeah, so there's a national convention for students all over the country. I went when I was a student a long time ago. This is a really fun thing. It's great networking. It's good to represent our school, and so we have to. If you want to go to national, you join, and then you join the state, and there's a state convention every year too. So we want to help fund and pay for that from our funds that we get from the school, and then fundraising also. So our proposal to you guys is that we want to send, the first time we go, the 3 officers, to, if we can afford it. We're still looking at how much we have and how much it's going to cost, and it's the first week of school in spring. We could go for a part, because it's like kind of a 4-day. It's a Sunday ends, with stuff. Yeah, so we could go to part of it, but we wanted to get kind of a vote if you guys would, when we come up with exact funding, if you guys, for right now, if you guys would give us a yes or no, that would be a good way to spend our...
Is that the kind of way we want to be spending our snow funds? So there will be a Washington State one for 2016 as well, which has not been scheduled yet, which, because it's less travel expense, we should be able to send more students, and that should be funded as well. So people who want to participate in that. It will sort of always be snow officers, I think, as the first line of representatives, but then it can also be opened up. If we're doing fundraising, we should be able to open it up to all the snow reps and to whatever students are interested in going. Of course, if you want to pay, yourself, you could certainly go, but it's you know, it can get expensive if we're doing national ones. But the local ones should be easier for us to do.
Yeah.
And we just think that that's sort of a better use of the funds than food.
Yeah,
Can you
because all the
explain what
other,
happens there? Or what?
what
Yeah.
happens there?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like 3 days of like conference stuff and information and celebrations and the networking and then
There's an NCLEX prep, sort of
the
how to
advisors,
do those.
have, you know, anytime you guys go somewhere, the advisor has to go with you to make sure everything is okay. So yeah, some NCLEX
There's-
prep stuff.
And there are conferences that are specifically for the advisors as well, kind of how to help SNO be more productive, how we can network for the students and things like that. So it's sort of
Yeah.
helping us as leaders figure out how to best facilitate this moving forward, because TCC used to participate.
Yeah, I don't know
years
when's
ago.
the last time they've been,
But
but
it's-
Julie might know last time they've been
We
in
actually
that.
had a student who was the secretary of the State Nursing Association. and
Okay.
That was about 3 years ago.
Okay. So we're just trying to get more involved and see what
Yeah,
we can
because
do.
you guys can apply to run for officers for the state and for at the national level and get involved that way. It's a really good thing as you're in the program and have leadership skills, really good for your resume. Like all those really good things.
It'd be a good way to advocate for the students too, because we only get to do this job for a couple of quarters, and then if we've started sort of a, kind of this is how it's running, then the next group that comes in can be doing sort of the same things, and we can kind of start a snowball effect of how can this be better serving the student body, the nurses. So that's what we're hoping to be able to do with that. So is that, we're just kind of interested in if that seems like
So
a
I
decent way
think
to spend.
if I don't know if we can get like a show of yes and then no hands, and then we'll go
Everybody's question.
then we'll tell you more, because we have to get official approval of funds, we have to have an official vote from you guys. So-
My question is, what do the students benefit from them going to a
Mhm.
conference nationally?
Yeah, so.
So what
yeah,
is the benefit for us? You
Yeah.
know, why would
Yeah.
we spend money on them to go? And
Yeah. Well, and actually, the money from the club and from the college is, besides if you guys do fundraising, that piece.
So it's not personally coming from,
But yeah, the club fund money is, we've saw that a lot of clubs on campus are going to conferences like the respiratory guys and AMTs, you know, they'll go to the national conferences and represent their school, and that's what they're using their funds for, and we thought that would be a good way, and then we bring back the information to you guys, and it looks good for our
it's
school.
good for our school to be recognized and represented and stuff like that. I haven't been to one before, so I don't know what all the benefits are, but we've been trying to look through there's like 100 different conferences, different things that go on at the conference, different classes that you can go to. And so in the midst of trying to do our study and everything else, we've been trying to look at, well, which things of these would be beneficial to go to? What would actually be helpful to bring back? What kind of information can we bring back? And then we would probably schedule a SNO meeting where we disseminate that information to everybody. We don't really know exactly what the benefits are until we go, but it seems to be a thing to do, and that it's good to represent our school. And I mean, TCC has a pretty good reputation, and so continuing to have a good reputation nationwide is good for us. But we can tell you more, I guess, after.
Yeah. So could we just see, like, from right now, from who's here, if you think it would be a yes? And you guys could count and see. And then we would have to tell you before we put it all the way through. we
What the
have
cost
to
would be and.
Approve the amounts with everybody. There has to be like a certain number of votes that are yes from
So I
our,
think, I haven't looked back
our group.
through the budget, I haven't honestly looked back through the budget from previous years and stuff, but I don't know what it's been going towards, and so I think things have been rolling forward, and then, you know, we've been spending on coffee and food and stuff like that, and we've been happy to just kind of donate that kind of stuff, so that with these funds can be used for other things, you know, like we are personally funding the coffee every week and stuff like that, so that these funds can be used for things that are more educational and more beneficial. So I appreciate everybody bringing some snacks to share today too. That's
Okay.
I think that's all we've got, and then I was going to introduce, so Sarah Brown has been a nurse for 20 years, and she's a great resource if you go to Franciscan. She's very helpful. So she's going to tell you a bit about her experience in training students and give you a little pep talk, and then she'll introduce the recruiters and managers. Right?
Thanks for inviting us here. We're so happy to spend time with students. Student nurses, that's my passion. I love taking care of new people that are going to grow and become experienced and then mentor other people so that when I get old, there'll be somebody there to take care of me. A very wise nurse who's since retired said, you know, we have to bring these guys up right because they're the ones that's going to take care of us when we're in the hospital. So I thought that was very sage advice. So Sarah Brown, as you said, I've been with same place, CHI Franciscan for 20 years, but certainly not the same job. There's a huge variety in nursing and a huge variety in Franciscan as well. So congratulations on being future nurses. We are the most trusted profession in America. We are privileged to care for the sick and vulnerable people. And that can be people recovering from surgery, from illness, or sometimes we're just there to help somebody pass away peacefully. But I believe that nursing is sacred. I think this is a sacred trust. It's the most special thing I can imagine doing. You get that special connection between you and another human being where you know you're making a difference, right? You've probably already experienced that in your clinicals. And you get that moment when you know you're making a difference, and it can be something as simple as you're wiping up somebody's dirty bottom and you're being kind. That's a huge deal. I'll never forget this one patient. Every time I was kind to her, she would weep. I was like, you gotta stop crying, girl, because I'm just gonna keep taking care of you. So I'm like, I can't take it. But it was just so special. You know, it's precious. It can be that you give very competent, comprehensible, understandable discharge instructions, and you know that person knows what to do when they go home. You know they're gonna be successful in their recovery from illness or surgery. That's amazing. You're making a difference. And to have an opportunity to make a difference every day, that makes nursing an amazing career. So Riley mentioned she wanted to know kind of how to enjoy nursing and some pitfalls. And I would say the biggest challenge you're going to have as a new nurse is going to be time management. Because you're learning all your skills now. You know how to think like a nurse. You know how to give shots, pass medication. You know how to do that. But how to get all that into one day, one 8-hour or 12-hour shift, that's going to be your biggest challenge. Just know there's always going to be more that you feel like you need to do in a shift than you have time to do. Just know that, and you're going to have to work on time management. That's your biggest challenge, okay? But never lose sight of why you're there. You're there for the patient. Sometimes we can get so task-oriented, we forget about that person in the bed, that person we're taking care of. And when you forget why you're there and you're just trying to get everything done and you forget about the patient, they're just a number and they're a task that you're going to check off your list, that can lead to the biggest pitfall of nursing, which is caregiver burnout. And I've certainly experienced that in the past. And here's some signs of caregiver burnout. You're insensitive, impatient, super negative. You make crass jokes about your patients. I'm going to admit, I've been there. You roll your eyes behind their back. This is not a good sign. This is a sign you're burning out and you need to step back. But for me, the best way that I've been able to recover from that is to really remember that there's a person in that bed, who they are. To pull up a chair, stare into their eyes and listen, even just for 5 minutes, really be present for that patient. Everybody has a story. Everybody matters. Every single person you ever come in contact or take care of matters a lot. And what you're doing is making a difference in their life. And that is meaningful. And when you reconnect with that, when you walk in somebody else's shoes and understand what you're able to do in their lives, even just for those little moments, those little kindnesses, that will help you reconnect with why you're being a nurse. And not to forget that we're there for the patients. We're there to serve people. That's why you're becoming a nurse. I know every single one of you have that heart. or you wouldn't be able to make it through nursing school because there's some gross stuff you have to do. If you did not care, it wouldn't work out for you at all. So you may think I'm never going to have time to pull up a chair and look in my patient's eyes and listen, but let me tell you, that is the best investment you are ever going to make in your day. Because that patient is going to become comfortable with you. They know you care for them. They're going to listen to your instructions, they're going to follow your directions, and they're going to trust you. So that 5-minute investment in time, your call lights are not going to go off as much. Your patient is going to do what you ask of them, and things are going to go better for you. So remember, especially if you start to feel burned out, to really be present for your patient, to be available and listen, and know that that's a human being that matters. So, how to enjoy nursing. I have a few words of advice. I have to read these. First of all, you've been in a very competitive environment. Getting into nursing school, being in nursing school is very competitive, and you need to know when you get into the hospital, we are collaborative. Okay? We work together as a team. We care about you. This is not me competing with you to see who can pass the meds the fastest. This is me wanting you to get through your day and take care of your patients and feel good about yourself at the end of it. So you're going to get to collaborate with coworkers, experienced, less experienced, more experienced. This is a good thing. So remember that. You're going to change from this super stressful, competitive environment to a collaborative, caring environment. And that caring, we hope you feel that we feel for you, and you'll know that we have for you as an organization. You'll be able to pass on to your patients. So that's why that's so important, that you need to know that you're cared for, and that then you'll have the energy to care for your patients. So give yourself a break. Don't expect to know everything the first week. You know, you've been learning so much so fast, and you expect to know it and get A's. Well, there's not really any A's on the floor. When you're on, when you're on the floor, you just got to give yourself a break, relax, and you know you can do this, right? Don't expect to know everything in the first week. Ask questions. You can never ask too many questions. If you don't have an answer, ask a question. Always admit your mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Don't let that devastate you. Admit your mistakes. We'll teach you. Those are learning experience. It makes you stronger. Buy comfortable shoes. When you get a job, you're going to have some money. Buy some comfortable shoes. This is a great asset to your career. It makes you a less cranky nurse. Okay? So, most of all, relax and believe in yourself. You can do this. You've proven yourself. Now you just have to learn a new job. And there'll be a lot of people there to help you. So, that's how I think you should enjoy nursing. Okay. Next, we're going to have Stephanie and Amy. That is my management team. Lovely, lovely team of people. I've worked with Stephanie for a long time. Amy is actually kind of new as our manager. And they're going to talk to you about how to interview well, write good resumes, what gets your attention, right? Okay, thank you guys.
And we'll pull Erin, our recruiter, over here to help us too.
It is hard to follow Sarah. That was
But I feel motivated to do so. That was excellent. Thank you, Sarah. That was great. Do you guys have any specific questions when it comes to what are we looking for when we're interviewing someone, or what is maybe Erin looking at when she looks at resumes that she then sends to Stephanie and myself, and what we're looking at when we look at resumes? Yeah.
So I can imagine that you'll have several new graduates that apply for a job. What are you looking for specifically when you're looking and filtering through the new graduates, and how many would you say get a job and how many don't, like realistically?
Do they all go through the recruiter
They go,
first?
yep, they're all going to go through. They're all going to go through a recruiter first, and I have really excellent news for all of you, and that is that the tide has changed, and has changed in your favor, not ours. So what that means, and it changed like that. So what that means is that instead of me posting, one residency position and having 30 applicants, and only one of you is going to get that job. that number has changed. So that it means that as you're going out there and you're going to be looking for jobs, is that there isn't as much competition because there's more jobs out there. You have more nurses that are finally retiring because they can, because the economy has changed. So there's a lot of growth and expansion in hospitals, which means we need to hire more nurses. So Franciscan has always been an organization that invests heavily in their residency programs. I've been recruiting for Franciscan for 13 years now, and if you had told me when I started there that I would be there for 13 years, I would have laughed out loud and said, yeah, right, okay. And even like I had to be there for 5 years before I would vest in my benefits or retirement account. I would have laughed at that. But it has been such an amazing place to work with such amazing people that I really haven't had a reason to look to go anywhere else. And I love what I do. And I love this the most. This is the best part of my job, is being able to go out and help you, get the information that you need so that you can make the decisions that are going to work best for you, because this is a big deal. It's your first job as a nurse, and you really want to make sure that you're going to make the right decision. So normally what I do is I kind of go through kind of Erin's pet peeves when I'm looking at resumes and applications, and you're probably going to giggle at a couple of them, and I really hope that the next time I go and speak to a class that I'm not talking about one of you. Because I see these things every single day, and they seem like pretty common sense things, yet I kid you not, when I go in tomorrow and I start screening applications, I'm going to want to bang my head on the desk because I'm going to see the very things that I'm going to talk to you about. So normally you're all going to want to have a cover letter, right? And your cover letter does not have to be a huge long paragraphs or pages. I will guarantee you that nobody will read them if they are that long. So give yourself that break and try to keep it to about maybe a half a page. And you really want to be putting in the essential type of information about what managers like to see. What brought you here? What made you decide that you wanted to be a nurse, right? Because every single one of you in this room has a story to tell. Something influenced you to bring you to the point of where you thought, you know what, I want to be a nurse. So talk about that, because there's probably no two stories in this room that are exactly the same, right? So that's a way that you can differentiate yourself from all the other new graduates that are going to be applying. Don't outline, what you took and, what you studied, because nursing programs are, they're kind of similar. There's certain requirements that everyone has to do. So we're all familiar with those. So don't go into that. The other thing, do not talk about, for us in particular, right? And any organization, you should go and do some research on what do they stand for, what are their values, what's their mission statement. But whatever you do, don't just regurgitate that back into the cover letter. Like I said, I've been there for 13 years. I know that our values are reverence, integrity, compassion, and excellence. I don't need you to tell me that. And what that tells me is that, oh, look, they can copy and paste, right? So what you really want to do is talk about, what about those values with that organization stand out? Give examples, and do make that connection rather than stating the obvious, I guess is my point. And again, sometimes you can give maybe an example of something that happened while you were a student and you're doing one of your rotations that just solidified, yep, I'm in the right place doing the right thing. That this is, we all have those moments where you just think, yep, this is it, this is why. And nurses are compassionate people. So I tell my new graduates, pull at their heartstrings, right? Because that is, see, I'm giving all my tells. I know. Yes. So, to tell you, like I said, you all have an amazing story to tell. And that's your opportunity to do that in, half a page in your cover letter. There's the challenge. And again, you want to make sure that you're going to attach a resume. And again, your resumes are really what they like to see, the managers really like to see across the systems is, how many hours you spent in each of the places that you did your rotations. Because again, there's a lot of similarity and overlap in how many rotations you have to do, and everyone has to do med-surg, and sometimes you have to do it twice and things, but it's really when you start getting into those specialty areas and your senior practicum, which is a big deal. So they want to know, how many hours you spent, in med-surg, how many hours you spent in a long-term care facility, how many hours you spent doing community health nursing. That gives them a better picture than just bullet pointing out everywhere that you went. Because again, there's going to be some overlap. And not all nursing programs are created equal when it comes to the number of hours that you get to be in the clinical setting. And TCC is strong in that way, so that goes to your advantage to be able to put those numbers on there. So again, you want to make sure that you are aware of what organization you're applying to, because this is a really big pet peeve of mine. So again, can anyone tell me where we're from? Right? Okay. So when the cover letter I'm reading and it says their undying passion to go work for multi-care, I wish you the best of. So details matter because again, charting is kind of an important thing. And when you are, pledging your undying devotion to my competitor, that really makes me concerned about your attention to detail. So a very important key thing with nursing. When your email addresses, right? Again, we are a faith-based organization. Catholic Health Initiatives is our parent company. So when you have an email address that's like hottyhottymama@hotmail.com, all of those things say things about you as a person. So email addresses are free. Get a professional one. You can delete it after you get a job. But those are important because we used to have a little board where we would write up the funny email addresses. Like, look at this person, really? The other thing, if I have to listen to the ringtone while my party is reached, again, I want to say, be aware of the types of organizations that you have applied to. So, botchka wah wah music, maybe not the best idea. Swear words, not a good idea when a recruiter or a manager is calling, right?
This happened to us today.
Yes, see?
Yeah.
So,
nice ringbacks from.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I like the uplifting ones, because then when you answer, I'm even more excited to offer you a job. Spell check. Oh. Okay. Again, I go with the charting, right? There's a button that you can push in Word that makes all those squiggles disappear. Push the button. Okay. And just making sense, right? They're basic things, but as living proof, it happens. It does.
I just read one that said, I think I'm perfect for multi-care. I said, okay, good luck.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
I really want to work at St. Francis, and you got to know which place you're applying for, what unit. I love critical care.
Maybe they just sent one resume to everywhere,
And the resumes can be the same, but you really want to pay attention on those cover letters because I guarantee you that multi-care, they're doing the same thing. When you're pledging your undying devotion to wanting to work for Franciscan, they are wishing you luck too. So making sense, right? They're kind of common sense things, but they are, they're so important because all of those things are going to make a huge difference in whether or not I move you forward, whether or not the manager is going to pick up the phone to schedule an interview. Okay, so now the phone, somebody calls and they're going to schedule an interview and it's at 9 o'clock. What time are you there? 8:45. Correct, right? 9:05, not okay. When you talk to the manager, you write down their name. You write down where they're from because when you call the recruiter and say, hey, someone called me to schedule an interview, right? We're a big organization, so you want to make sure that you're writing down who called you, where you need to go, what time, and you show up on time. What do you wear? Professional. Yes. So we always had a rule in my family growing up that if I could stand in front of my dad without blushing, I was good to go out the door. So I want you to do that with your mirror, right? You stand in front of the mirror and you look at yourself and you think, I wonder, change it, right? You only have one opportunity to make a good impression. And I will tell you that we're all human, right? Your patients are human and they are going to make a snap judgment on your clinical ability based on the way that you look before you've taken 3 steps into their room. So just keep that in mind. Is it fair? No. Is it accurate? No. Is it real? Absolutely, right? So just think about those things when you're dressing and presenting yourself professionally. That as a recruiter, they train us that you're going to make a snap judgment on whether somebody's hireable or not in just the first couple of minutes in the interview, and then you're going to spend the whole rest of that interview either proving your initial gut reaction is true or false. So you want to make sure that you're not giving yourself an uphill battle by coming in your Hollister shorts and your hair in a bun because you just went jogging on your way to your interview. It happens.
Oh, yeah. Like
Crazy.
frequently.
Yes, craziness.
That was a tame example. That was a tame example. Yeah.
So again, I feel validated in all that I say when I go out to the classes, and I can tell when applications are coming in, when I'm like, oh, that's a really good cover letter, and I'm like, oh, TCC, or oh, PLU, I was there. They listened to me. And guess what? The 2 schools where we hire the most graduates from? TCC and PLU. Right? So yes, yay. So there's a very long answer to your question, but again, just be conscious of what you're saying, and how you dress and how you present yourself, and we'll do fine.
I would just add a couple of things just that are fresh in my mind as I spent the good part of the afternoon doing phone screens, which is what we do. We'll look at the application, we'll look at the resume, we'll read the cover letter, we'll talk about it. The time you put into those matters to us too. We know that you put a lot of time and effort into those. That matters when we're looking at 6 or 7 of them for 2 requisitions. So we are looking at the aesthetics of it. How much time did you put into it? How much of the content makes sense? Does this paragraph make sense? On top of this paragraph, does the spacing look good? Is it aesthetic? Those things do matter to us because we know how much time someone put into that to make it right. And then secondly, when we call you on the phone, I would just recommend that you answer friendly. Again, like Erin's saying, so many of these things seem really, I don't know, just common sense. That's the word you're using, thank you. They seem so common sense, but I called someone today and, well, I won't totally imitate it, but it was like, hello, and I said, oh, I'm Amy, one of the clinical managers of the Ambulatory Care Center where you recently applied. And she goes, uh-huh.
She's not kidding. I heard it through the phone.
And I said, oh, okay, so I'm just calling to talk about that. And the conversation, like, I just never really got anything positive, and we didn't move forward from there.
Are you feeling surprised?
No. So that was kind of an extreme example. Usually it's not like where I'm like, did you hear that?
Do I have the right number here?
Yeah, where you're checking, like, yeah, okay, that's the name I called. But there are examples to where when we're answering the phone, someone answers not great and then picks it up a little bit when they know it's us, but we want to know that you're a friendly person, you're caring for people, and we know that you are, so please represent that when we give you a call to ask you some questions over the phone as well. It makes a huge difference. So that's what I would add.
Any number that you're getting that you don't recognize, just assume it's a phone screen. It's a potential job on the other end there. I would also add that the same person that had the, sharpness on the phone also had a questionable email address. So we were, they just coincided. And I was trying to make, a little bit out on a limb to see if she would be okay on the phone, and she was not.
I didn't see that previously.
Right.
Question.
Yeah.
So when you do call, I answer a phone call, like, because I don't know where it's coming from, in a store.
Sure.
What do I do in that case? Do I just say, I'm sorry, I'm not in a good place to talk, or
You
can I call you back, or do you feel like it's rude to?
Go outside.
I would want a cell phone number with the application, so.
Sure, and we understand that you guys
Okay.
have lives, and you're
Right,
doing
okay.
things, and you're busy, and you might be at work, or you might be at the
Yeah.
store, If at all possible to take the call, it's totally fine to say, hey, I'm in the store right now, I can just step outside and take it, or I'm actually on my lunch at work, I'd really want to spend time to talk with you. Is there a time that we could arrange to call back? That's okay, as long as your response is professional. As long as you're kind and open in your response, that's usually the best way to go.
I actually made a job offer to somebody who flushed the toilet. This is the glory of my job. So yes, it is okay to say yes. It's pretty unmistakable. So yes, it is definitely okay to A, not answer if it's not a good time, or B, at least say, can I call
And
back?
do you leave a message if I don't answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and return calls, and return them quickly, because we're not going to keep beating down the door.
We call one time.
Okay.
Just make sure you have a voicemail that works.
And
and
not full.
And not full, yeah.
Or if that happens all the time, or that it's not set up.
Offensive, yeah, that's a good
Again,
one.
you know, and especially when it was back where it was, you know, okay, well, you're out, and I'm on to the 27 other people that would love to have this job that actually took the time to set up their voicemail.
Or pay attention to who's answering your phone. One that I called today had someone else answer the phone. That was also a strange one. Not sure if they're going to call me back. But again, we're going to call once. We do have, for some of our positions, several applications. And so if we haven't done the work up front to be ready for us to call and set you up for a phone screen and then an interview, we're not going to call you. I'm not sure this person is necessarily going to get that message.
Do you guys call the BSN students first, or you just, after you read the cover letters and you're just going with that?
Is there something we can technically do to kind of put ourselves ahead of the game? Like, I know a lot of people have taken nurse tech jobs or done volunteering. Like, are those things that are like,
So depending on where you are in the program, I mean, if you're going to be graduating in, you know, June, nurse tech not worth it, because by the time you get it, you'll be able to work for like 3 months and then you're done. But if you are a little bit further out, nurse tech jobs are a really great option. This is the time of year that they get posted. We have a couple that are out there right now. There's going to be more that go up in March and even maybe into April as well. They are per diem positions, so great flexibility to work around your school schedule. And really the idea is that you love us and we love you and you graduate, and before you even graduate, we just say, managers say, hey Erin, we're gonna put Susie into the residency position, and I say, okay, and then it's done. And then we just wait for your NCLEX test date and your RN license, and we do the transfer. Easy.
So
Yeah.
even without a nurse tech license, you can apply before you take your NCLEX.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. So if your interview goes really well, and we really want you, we will wait, if time's permitting, for you to pass that NCLEX. And I know that we waited for someone that didn't even pass the first time, and we just knew she would be great, and had that time thing that we were allowed to let her take it a second time, and she's been doing an amazing job. So feel free to apply.
I would say about 6 weeks-ish before you graduate would be a really good time to start earnestly looking for a position. Yeah, about 6 weeks before you graduate.
Could you talk a little bit about the residency program itself, how long it is, what to kind of expect there, and where you can get hired into residencies, what areas and things like that?
Sure. We can probably speak to the med-surg residency, and Erin can probably answer any questions for the other residencies, but there are residencies throughout the
Yeah,
entire.
I'll just say that the residency, they're probably all structured pretty similar. So med-surg, critical care, the EDs, the ORs, labor and delivery. Well, they usually like you going to mother baby first and then into labor and delivery. Renal does residencies sometimes. It just kind of depends on what their openings are. And oncology, inpatient oncology, and then we do rehab as well. Am I leaving any out?
Thank you.
Thank you, NICU, yes, NICU. And again, it depends on kind of what their need is as to whether or not they'll take new grads, but they do take new grads. Yeah, so all the specialty areas really, they have residency programs. The number of residents that any particular department at any of the facility is going to take is going to depend on a couple of things. Either first, how many open positions they actually have, how many residents they've already hired, and how many preceptors they have available to precept the new grads. So those are usually the driving forces on how many residents that a particular department at a hospital will take. You need to be in at least a 0.8 FTE to qualify for the residency positions. So does everyone know what an FTE is? Okay. I didn't know what that was until I started working in healthcare either. So a full-time equivalent. So like I work full-time. I work 40 hours a week. And so that's considered full-time, or it's a 1.0 FTE. So if you have a 0.8 FTE, it really just means 80% of full-time. So you work 32 hours per week instead of 40 hours a week. So I work 5 days, I work 4 days. Or you could have a 0.9 FTE, and if they're 12-hour shifts. So you're basically, it's a percentage, so that's what it means is with that. So a 0.8 FTE or higher, so for 8-hour shifts, that is 4 8-hour shifts per week. And we've done them in the past where they're more part-time, and they don't work well because the learning curve is so steep. And when you're away from the training more than you're there, the learning curve is steeper and longer, and we had more people not pass the residencies, and that is not how you want to start your career. So organizationally, about a decade ago, we just went, nope, sorry, this is what we're going to do. We want you to be successful, and that's really what works best. So then I'll let you guys talk about the details of the residency.
So for Med-Surg, we have a pretty robust residency program. It's about 12 to 13 weeks in length, and that includes time out on the floor with your mentor as well as time in class. And they keep updating our residency classes. I think we have about 13 or 14 classes total, so you kind of flip back and forth. Maybe 1 week you're more out on the floor with your mentor, and then the next week you're more in class because you have 3 or 4 classes that week. And you just kind of go back and forth until all of your classes are completed. And then there's a residency post-test at the end, and you would be out of your residency program. And then you, depending on what shifts you work, if you get hired onto a night shift, which a lot of our residents do get hired onto the night shift, we do, within our division, start you on like a day or an evening shift too, just so you get the flow of how the other shifts are working before you transition to night, and just make sure that you've got all the training that you need before you're out on your own.
That's okay.
Doing that.
So is residency always during the day, and then your whatever shift you're hired for will be determined after the end of the residency kind of thing?
No, we have, we can do residencies through evening shift as well, but night shift, we do like to make sure that they get all of the exposure that they would need to know what's going on as well.
Okay.
So we tend to put 2/3 of their time on day shift. And it's really challenging to flip from night shift back to day shift, night shift back to day shift when they're going back and forth with classes. So all of the classes are throughout the day shift, so we wouldn't want to flip-flop you so many times.
But then you'd shift to a permanent shift, whatever that may be, is not necessarily reflective of what your residency shift is.
Correct.
Is that what, okay.
And that brings up a really good point that I just want to interject because it'll be gone from my brain otherwise. But not all organizations do, like, I'm going to offer you a 0.8 night shift position, and you're going to go through the residency on days, and then at the completion of that, you know what FTE and what shift you're going into. Some will hire you in and say, well, we'll see if there's a job for you at the end of the residency program. Or, yeah, well, we're not really sure what shift it's going to be until, we get there. Well, I don't know, I'm a planner, I want to know, because there's certain shifts I can work and some I can't. So that's a really good question for all of you to bring to an interview to ask about, because you might be surprised by the answer. I was floored when I found out there's other organizations out there that do it that way. So
you're saying that you guys don't do it that way?
We don't. So when I call you, you are going to know what hospital you're working at, what floor you're working on, how many days you're working, what your shift is going to be, who you're going to report to. You are going to know all of that. That job is yours. So the only thing that you have to do is pass through the residency program, and the managers say, yep, you did it, and we're done. It's yours. So I was, like I said, I don't know why I assumed that that was normal. That's how people did it, but that is not how everybody does it out there. So make sure, that's a really good question to ask when you're going to an interview, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
And just to kind of add to your question about the residency is there are so many layers of support for you as you go through the residency, and that's so important to us that you know that. You'll have the teachers that are teaching the residency, you'll have unit-based educators, at least, and of course I'm speaking for the med-surg, but I know that critical care at St. Joe's also has that. But you'll have the unit-based educators supporting you through that, you'll have your new work family who's supporting you through that, you have your preceptor and your charge nurse on multiple shifts, especially if you're going to be coming into our night shift and starting on the days and orienting there, you'll have a couple different preceptors. So it's just so many different layers of support that you have. So it's not like we throw you into this residency and say sink or swim and we'll see if you make it to the end. It's really, we want you so much to be successful, and I know on our unit we touch base with the residents very regularly so that we can see how things are going and see how we can support as well. But it's so important to us that you're successful through this residency.
I wanted to ask you, how much weight do you give to letters of recommendation, and do you care about the identity of the recommenders?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the very first things that I learned in HR, I don't know how I got through life so naive, was that you can't, in HR, this is HR world, right, that you can't really trust the paper that a letter of recommendation is written on, right? And I was thinking, oh my God, but like my letter of recommendation, I never questioned, right? Well, I can't tell you how many times we've called to verify a letter of recommendation, and the person says, gosh, I could never hire that person. Well, I'm looking at a letter of recommendation. Well, they were standing right there. What did you want me to say? So most organizations are going to do a verbal verification of a letter of recommendation. Now, I will tell you that we love clinical instructors as your references, preceptors as your references. They work great. They get back to us. They give us exactly the type of information that we want to know. And we always look for professional references. And what that means is that they need to have been in a position where they're supervising your work. I don't want a coworker, your best friend, your mom, your dad. I've had references like that before where I'm thinking, you're his dad. So we try to vet those out. You're all going to want to be nurse recruiters now, aren't you? Because it's so much fun. So we try to vet those out to make sure that the names that we're collecting from all of you are the right types of references. But definitely, if you have letters of recommendation, it makes it really easy because we already have it there. We have the contact information, and we can just go and verify it. Have those references, those details handy with you. They're even great to bring in for an interview. Another pet peeve of mine, which I have to tell you I had on my own resume, was references available upon request. Everyone's going to ask. So you don't have to have it on your resume. You can have a separate Word document that has references that just has that information. Just have it prepared. Because oftentimes I'm going to tell you, hey, you're coming in for your drug screen tomorrow, so can you bring your references? So that you're like, well, Erin, yes, I can. I have it all right here. So again, just be prepared and know that employers are going to ask for that information. So have it up front.
Thank you.
Good question.
Are all new hires offered a residency program? Can you be hired as a new nurse but not go through the residency? Even if, I know you mentioned the 0.8 FTE, but if you were not going to be hired as a 0.8?
Not with us. And the reason is that we want you to be successful. And that really brings up another good point that hopefully isn't going to be as big an issue for all of you graduating as it has been in the past. But if you are looking to start your nursing career outside of acute care, some other questions that you do want to ask is, tell me about the training that I'm going to receive. Because if it's like 2 days, what's ours, 13 weeks? 2 days, right? Because at the end of the day, it's your nursing license that's going to be on the line. So that's a really, really good question to ask, especially if you're going to go outside of a hospital setting, to find out what kind of training, what kind of support that they're going to provide for you. Because again, this is going to be your first experience as a nurse, and you want it to be a good one. You're going to learn a little bit about a lot of different things in nursing school, and the residency programs are really there to teach you, this is what you need to know to survive in med-surg, this is what you need to know to survive in the ED, this is what you need to know to survive in critical care. They're much more focused and specific. There's a lot of overlap on just the basic fundamentals of patient care within a hospital, but the residencies are really tailored so that you're going to be successful in that specialty that you're hired into.
Is the pay during your residency, the same as when you are, I like that, okay.
DACA.
Thank you very much.
Not DACA.
I think we were all nodding at the same time.
Yes. And one thing that I do want to say, because I'm going to forget, and I'm going to keep looking over at you, and I'm like, I can't forget, is that we do have you sign a residency agreement. And the residency agreement says that you would agree to stay with us for a period of 2 years after the completion of the residency program. So it ends up being 2 years and 13-ish weeks, at the FTE that you were hired at or higher, in the department and the facility that you were hired into, or you owe a payback, and the payback amount right now is $2,000. Now, $2,000, and to go through a med-surg residency, probably about $40,000 is what it'll cost the organization to train you. If you're going to go into critical care, the OR, you're pushing 60 grand. So we're not really trying to recoup expenses for the residency program. Really what it's about is to make sure that you're stopping and you're thinking about the commitment that you're going to make, because we are going to make a big one to you. So that's really what it's there for. Again, not to be like, ha, we got you now, because I have a lot of people, and it's not like black and white. So we have a lot of military families that transition in and out, and like I told my boss, hey, I'm not in the collections business, right? So I'm not going to go after somebody because their husband is in the military and they got deployed someplace else. That's just bad. So, things come up. So we look at everything, on a case-by-case basis, and so again, not ogres, we're not like, we're not out there to say, pay back because you owe us this money. But again, it's really just meant for you to stop and think about the commitment that you're going to make, because we wouldn't be extending the job offer to you if we weren't willing to make that commitment.
So you could say that applies to department transfers too. So I just know all of my instructors up to this point are like, do a year in med-surg, do a year in med-surg before you do anything else,
Now, sometimes, and it is
but I'm like, I want to catch babies.
I'll tell you. What I'll tell you is that Debbie Renero, who's our, of all things baby related at Franciscan, she will say, I would take a med-surg nurse over a new grad. Yeah. So if you can't get into your #1 spot where you want to go, med-surg is a pretty darn good backup plan.
But I am committed to 2 years after I do that residency.
Well,
right?
that's where some of the exceptions can
$2,000.
$2,000. Where do I sign? But that's where some of the exceptions come in, is when we talk about, because Debbie's going to go and they're going to call HR and they're going to say, oh, but Erin, she's so fabulous and she's going to stay within the system, right? We get those, and so we go, all right, Debbie, fine. So again, it's.
And what was her address?
Okay, just go over to St. Joe's and say, I'm looking for Debbie, and right? Everybody knows Debbie there. So again, don't be afraid of the residency agreement, but I want full disclosure that it's out there. Most hospitals are going to make you sign something similar, and the $2,000 is like nothing compared to what some people have to sign. So again, another really good question to ask in an interview is about, hey, so is there a residency agreement that I'm going to be signing, so that you're not going in on your first day and you're signing paperwork and someone goes, here you go, and you're like, what is this? $10,000, what? So just another really good question.
I will tell you, when I graduated from nursing school, I was confident that I was going to catch babies. Sure of it, but I should start in med-surg. So I started in med-surg, and I could never leave it. I couldn't, it's, people think of it as a backup plan until you're in it and you see how dynamic it is and the type of family environment that's created in a med-surg environment is incredible. It's hard work. I won't say it's not hard work, but it is good work. And so, I don't know. You never know. You never know. But I've never caught a baby. And I haven't looked back.
And to add to what Erin was saying regarding the residency programs, for those who are thinking maybe acute care isn't where you want to start your nursing career fresh out of school, just be mindful that may still require you to take a residency even though you are an experienced RN coming from a clinic or another type of a medical facility. We have some nurses that interview and they seem a bit perplexed thinking that they would have to go through a residency program even though they have experience. But the experience that they have gotten is not equal to what we would require in acute care settings. Again,
So
with the hands.
if I were going to transfer Sarah to critical care,
Right.
Sarah would go through a residency program, even though she's got 20 years of RN experience. So the residency programs aren't for new grads, the residency programs are for you. Right. So you are new to the specialty area and we want to train you, so this is what you need to know to be successful here. Make sense?
And a good example is that when I was at Joe's in the NICU doing my rotation, there was a nurse who had been a nurse for 10 years, and I was like, oh, you new grad? She's like, no, I've been a med-surg nurse for 10 years, but she was a resident in the NICU.
What would be a reason that someone wouldn't want to do if they're getting paid the same, why wouldn't you want to do a residency and learn?
Because somebody's
Oh, okay.
I think some people probably just don't like, if they've been an experienced nurse, have somebody telling them what to do. They're like, yeah, I know, I've done this for, you know.
But at a new facility, I
As a
would feel like I
patient, I
would
want
certainly
somebody
want someone
telling me
to
what
tell
to
me.
do.
Right,
You've never
right.
done it.
I think
Yeah.
it's challenging too as a nurse. You go out and you really start to own your craft and you have a certain way that you're doing things and it starts to feel good and it starts to feel comfortable. And the people who choose to then come out of a non-inpatient situation and then come into an inpatient situation where they previously were feeling comfortable being identified as a nurse, and then a nurse on the floor is just different. It's not better or worse, but it's just different. And I think it's challenging to have been someone who was very comfortable and doing excellent in your craft and then coming in and it's a different culture, it's a different flow, and having to learn everything. And just with that, with Sarah mentioned this earlier, and I just want to highlight it. When you come to do a residency, we really want you to come to learn. We don't want you to come and demonstrate how smart you are or how much you know already, because then you're just impeding your learning. We just want you to come and show us what you can learn. So that I just need you to hear that. Because you will be so much more successful.
Yes. The other thing too that, is anyone here nervous about starting as a nurse? A healthy dose of fear is a good thing, right? Because the day that you don't have that little bit of fear is the day that you become dangerous. Because what you do every single day, you have people's lives in your hands. And so you are going to learn every single day. I am sure Sarah learns something new every single day.
That's the beauty of being a
Yes. And the other part too is not to, launch you off onto the rest of your careers when you haven't started yet, but you have so many choices that even if you start in med-surg and you do, a year or two in med-surg and then you go catch babies and you think, you know what, okay, I've caught so many babies now, I do something else, right?
Never gonna.
Yeah. Okay, bad example. That you have so many things that you can do, and you can come away from the bedside and you can do care management where you're working collaboratively with social workers for discharge planning. You can go into education, you can go into management, you can go nurse recruiter. Like Sarah said, she's been there for 20 years, but she hasn't been doing the same thing for 20 years because you have so many options, and all the experiences that you're going to have are really going to shape your nursing career in what directions that you want to go. So, again, you have the sky's the limit. You have so many opportunities. Just pace yourself. You don't have to start where you want to end up.
Two questions. One, so for example, you're saying nurse tech is something that you do kind of look for, but like going with the competition, what if you were a nurse tech at Good Sam and you're applying to a Franciscan? does that like affect it? Well, as long as you're not like pledging or whatever.
So I get to take you from Good Sam, is that what I'm hearing?
Like you're,
Ooh, that's.
you're like a nurse tech there.
Oh my gosh, you just got the competitive recruiter in me going. So really what, it's about healthcare experience, right?
Okay.
And so when you want to talk about, and I don't want to freak out the people that this isn't going to apply to, so just la 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 if it doesn't. But, you know, again, not all nursing students are created equal because everybody's going to come with a different background. Some people have been CNAs. Some people have volunteered in the hospital. Some people have worked as nurse techs, so either with us or outside or wherever. So those are all things that they're going to put you a little bit of an advantage above, you know, those that haven't. Until I pick up the phone and I listen to your ringtone, which is totally inappropriate, or I can't give you a message, or right. So, you know, again, you want to highlight the things that you have done in healthcare that are going to, you know, put you up higher than the rest of the competition. Now, for those of you that don't have that and are thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to get a job, of course you will. Volunteering is a really good way to get your foot in the door as well, because I hire a lot of volunteers. I can't tell you how many times I have this one particular person at St. Joe's, where I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. She does references for me all the time because she's their mentor as the volunteer. But it gets you exposure, and that's a lot of what it is it's so hard in this age of everything's electronic to do this, right? To get the faces and the names. And you can't just walk into an HR department anymore and say, hi, I'm Erin. You know, I'd like to meet with the clinical manager for the ACC. And they're going to be like, you're precious, right? So you apply online, the computers are there, and you know, there you go. So, you know, going to job fairs, all the schools have job fairs. We're at all the job fairs, and you know, go to those, do that networking, anything that you can do face to face. I'm going to talk to you about our little new grad event that we're going to have as well, that I would like you all to come to as well, and make those connections so that you can be that person that the clinical managers remember. I'm like, oh, tell me your name, you know, and they're going to jot it down, and then I have sticky notes everywhere that say, hey, Erin, watch for blah, blah, blah app to come through. So, you know, those are the types of things that you really want to be, you know, taking advantage of. Whatever you can take advantage of.
And my other question was, for example, you're switching from med-surg onto another, going to catch babies, and you're doing the residency. You're re-signing a 2-year, or no? Okay.
So, well, it depends. It's such a lame answer, but it depends. So if you do med-surg at St. Joe's and then you're going to go catch babies at St. Joe's, you don't sign another residency agreement. But if you are med-surg at St. Clair and then you go to St. Joe's to catch babies, there's a new residency agreement.
Okay.
Because we are all one big happy CHI family, but we are technically separate employers. So it complicates things a little bit, but that's my 2 cents.
And what hospitals are included? Claire's, Joe's, Anthony's?
Yep, so we have St. Clair in Lakewood, St. Joe's, which is our mothership in Tacoma. We have St. Anthony's out in Lake Harbor, mothership, yes. And we have St. Francis up in Federal Way. We have St. Elizabeth that's out in Enumclaw. And then we recently acquired Harrison Hospital, which is up in Bremerton and Silverdale. We're building them a new hospital. And then we have Highline, which is up in Burien. And then there's a part of that is regional, which is a critical care, long-term critical care hospital. So it's very small, very specialized, but they don't take regrets. So yeah, we're big. There's like 8 hospitals, and when I started with that. And then we have Franciscan Medical Group, which has all of our clinics. And again, when I started, I think we had like 10, and now we're at 200 and something. Plus we have. With the acquisition of Harrison, we have Harrison Health Partners, all of their clinics up there as well. So we basically go all the way from Silverdale, all the peninsula, around, all the way up into West Seattle. So, yeah, growing big. Yeah, good for us, good growth. So, which is hard to do in healthcare these days. So.
So we all want to know, how much do nurses make when they first start? Just tell us. And is it the same? Is it the same across the board, no matter what unit you're in or what hospital within?
No. So it depends, right? So we have, within our hospital systems, we have some hospitals that are union hospitals, and we actually have 2 hospitals that are non-union. St. Francis up in Federal Way is non-union, and St. Anthony Hospital in Gig Harbor non-union. And they are, I think, the only 2 non-union hospitals in the state of Washington. Yeah, we're pretty proud of that. It's pretty awesome. So the rates of pay are determined by the union contracts. And they all change at different points in time. So, but they all follow pretty close together. So like St. Joe's, their union contract typically expires, or you get your contract increases in November, and then St. Clair's follows in February. So, between November and February, you're gonna make more for your St. Joe's, but then come February, then you're the same. So there's lots of that throughout, depending on when the contracts, what their effective dates are. So, yeah, but pretty much, it doesn't matter by specialty. We do it based on complete years of experience as an RN. If you have LPN experience in a hospital, we count that half credit towards your RN experience as well. So that's really awesome if anybody, it was bridging LPN to ADN or, yeah. So starting rate of pay.
Avoid the question. Everybody's holding their breath.
Yeah, so right now, the expiring base rate of pay at St. Joe's and St. Clair is $27.85 an hour. But they're in the process of negotiating the Joe's contract, which any day now is going to ratify, and that rate will go up. So the St. Anthony's and St. Francis ones, they went up in November, and they are 28, I want to say like 28.65, somewhere around in there. Ballpark. So depending on what happens with the Joe's and the Claire's contracts, they might adjust those up. It all depends. It's all driven by market. We do shift differentials as well. For an evening shift, it's an extra $2.50 an hour. Night shift is $4.25 an hour. Yeah, so all of a sudden nights are good. So plus, there's an additional $3 an hour weekend differential for any of the shifts that you work on the weekends. So you get the shift diff and the weekend differential when you work the weekends. If down the road you decide that you want to become certified in your practice area, there's an additional $1 per hour certification pay. Once you have a couple years under your belt and you decide that, you know what, my preceptors were so kind to me, and you want to become a preceptor for the new students and graduates that are coming in, there's preceptor pay as well, and I think it's a $1. Yeah, I think it's $1 an hour. So, there's lots of incentives and differentials that go in with that. So it all adds up.
With all the benefits and
Yes.
sick leave, vacation leave you guys haven't had maybe in your life, and great stuff.
I just want to know if there are stipends to help students move forward with their BSN masters or other degrees.
Yes! So that's a really good question to ask when you're going to the interview, because companies, their benefits are going to vary slightly. Most companies are going to offer you medical, dental, and vision, and life insurance, and accidental death and dismemberment, right? Because you all need that. But there's, your paid time off, your sick leave, your holiday pay, all of that stuff is going to be pretty standard. How much it costs you, that could be different depending on how large the facility is. We're lucky because it's all driven through our parent company that's nationwide, so we have really good rates. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. So just in case someone was primed to ask, I don't know.
Really impressed.
Yeah, no. But they're very affordable. Ask those types of questions. So for us, for Franciscan, we do for our 0.8 and higher, we offer up to $3,000 a year tuition assistance to help you go back. So if you wanted to go back and get your BSN, or our BSN folks that are going back for their MSNs, we help you do that. So what we don't have right now is loan forgiveness. If you come to us with student loans, paying them off, we're working on it. But nothing's been approved. We did it for a while and then we did away with it because we didn't need to do it, but we're kind of letting our powers that be know that we might want to start thinking about that again. But
You guys have a couple schools that offer lower tuition because they're affiliated with you too, so that's a really nice benefit.
Where?
Well, there's WGU had like 10% off. There was one, George Washington, I think it was, or one of those, it was another like
No,
university that gave a good discount.
lots of programs, lots of options out there for you. But again, another really good question to ask.
Do you have to work a certain number of hours before you could apply for the tuition reimbursement? Perfect.
I really wanted you, my managers, to address how to wow you in an interview.
Yes,
I think that's
in
important. We talked
in-person
all about
interview.
questions that they should ask, but I think they need to know what you really would seal the deal for getting a job.
So once they've showed up on time and they're dressed appropriately.
I was going to say, show up on time and dress appropriately. I mean, we really do want our socks knocked off. We sometimes say that they knock our socks off.
How many socks got?
How many socks got knocked off?
Just one or both?
Right. And that really starts with how much energy you bring into the interview. Every interaction that you have with us is important. So when we come to get you from the waiting area and bring you to our office, if you're not real interested in that, that's challenging. It's challenging to get past that. Like Erin was saying, the first few minutes that we meet you we're really determining how are you going to greet a patient? How are you going to fit within our team? The culture of our unit is so important. We care about teamwork. We care about how are you going to fit with the team? Are you going to be someone who can be collaborative, like what Sarah's talking about, and someone who doesn't have energy or doesn't make eye contact with us or walks way behind me or way in front of me or sits in my chair. That happened to me. Or her chair sat right in my chair. Doesn't feel encouraged to move. That's not great. That's not a great start.
I'm gonna have to use that one.
It happens. The ginormous soda that he also sat on my desk in my chair.
Yeah. So, I mean, the stories we can share. Yeah, and some of these things seem so common sense, like what we're talking about, but I wish that I could tell you it doesn't happen 1 out of every 3 interviews where you're just going, oh dear. Before we even started, like what are we in for? Because you're bringing a 36 ounce or whatever big that is, pop, and what's the big one? Sitting it down on Stephanie's papers, or you're sitting in her chair, or you're coming in and just I can't tell you. We ask the same question over and over and over again. So when we ask the same question and you just have no energy, I mean, don't let us get bored when we're talking to you. If someone's engaging and I'm taking all the things, but if you have specific examples for us that make us get to know you and make us feel like, oh my gosh, I'm totally connected with this person. I know where they're coming from. I know why they're here. I know why they want to work here. And you share those things about yourself and we feel connected, then we're going to want to know more. We're going to be more engaged in the interview.
I think also adding to the professional dress, we would want to add professional scent. You wouldn't believe, so our office, it's a nice size office, but there's 2 of us in there, but it's a small area when someone comes in with a very strong perfume smell or a strong perfume or cologne smell that's covering a strong cigarette smell. So maybe be, mindful of what facility you're applying to. We're a smoke-free facility, so we do nicotine testing as well.
Nicotine, not even just smoking.
Right.
No patching, no chewing.
There we go.
Vaping, whatever else you want to call it.
Everything that could be containing nicotine. But if we're smelling it already as you walk through our door and then you've tried to cover it up with something else, it's really hard for us to focus on the words that you're saying while I'm getting a migraine from cigarette smoking. Yeah.
My dad smokes. Does secondhand smoke show up on those tests?
Typically not. The threshold that's been set was set by physicians, and it's supposed to be like primary ingesting, unless you're, hey Dad, right? The other thing, that, again, I'm going to show you again how naive I am. Did you know that you can go on the internet and for $99 you can buy a Wizinator that is anatomically correct, complete with fake pee.
Give me a break.
Did you know that?
I
Google
love
it.
the temperature though.
Google it. All the temperature, the kit's all there. It keeps it warm.
I looked this stuff
$9.
up because
Now I'm going to tell you that our lab,
You tell us why. I never knew that the drug test
our
was so
lab
serious, and I was
tests
like,
for
why?
synthetic urine. And we will get back a report that says that your urine sample was inconsistent with human urine. And I'm going to call you. And I'm going to talk about your urine sample that is inconsistent with human urine, okay? Not the fun part of my job. Actually, it does. It kind of makes me laugh, right? Because I'm talking to you about the fake pee you got on the internet. So again, just know that employers are smarter than that, and they test for those things. So even if you're like me that was completely ignorant of the fact that you can buy, it's right. That you can buy fake pee, and in both male and female, anatomically correct, that we know, and we test, and you'll fail. And then I get to call you, and then I talk about you the next time I have one of these things about the person that, yeah. So again, we are a nicotine-free employer. So you will do 2 drug screens, 12-panel drug screen, which is your typical, narcotics and whatnot, and then nicotine. If you're taking prescription medication, nobody needs to know that. Just have your scripts handy because most likely a physician will call you to talk about it, but your recruiter doesn't need to know, your manager doesn't need to know, the lab doesn't need to know. It's none of anybody's business, with the exception of the medical review officer that will call you to talk about and verify prescriptions. So just know. The other thing that's really shocking to me, that as nurses, you should know this, that it is illegal to take somebody else's prescription medication. Even if it's your mom's, right? Illegal. I can't tell you how many job offers I've rescinded because of people that have done that. So wow. Yeah. If you're going to Canada, 222s contain codeine. Codeine in this country requires prescription. Don't take the codeine.
Good advice.
See? So you have all kinds of advantages going into this. So yes.
I do have another question. So for those of us who are not nurse techs or don't have CNA background, maybe have been staying at home with our children for lots and lots of years, what the heck do we put on our resume that you're still going to look at?
Hardest job ever.
Right. So how do we, like, I kill them? I mean, that's experience, really. It's caretaking. How do you,
I more
I love that question. Yeah, I love that question because when I have two kids, when I came back from my maternity leave after my first child, my very first day, I actually came and spoke to a TCC class. And somebody asked me that question, and I almost burst into tears going, oh my God, I've been doing it for 3 months, and it's kicking my butt. Right, so you have all kinds of life experience, right? And we see people that have, it's a second career, right? They did this, and they decided, I don't want to do this, it's not filling my cup, I'm going to go be a nurse, right? That's part of the cover letter and the compelling story. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have previous work experience. Yeah, so you can just put, you can just put, I was a stay-home mom. Yeah, I was a stay-home mom.
you basically put that as a resume entry in a way, like as an experience? Okay.
And on your resume, highlight your clinical experience that you did here.
Yep.
We do look at that.
Yeah, or homemaker. That's the one I love. Homemaker. Right? So yeah, I mean, we see a lot. We have a lot of nurses that, work for a couple of years and then they have a family and they stay home with their kids and then they come back. I mean, it happens. It's life. It's life. So.
Is there a way to highlight that clinical hours and stuff on a resume? Like, is there a website that tells you how to do that? Like any resume I've ever seen, it doesn't, go through on the education portion, like that specifically. Is there a correct and incorrect way to do this? Is there like pointers out there that you guys know of where it's like, this is the way you're supposed to do it?
There is no way you're supposed to do it.
Oh, good.
Because that would make it way too easy.
Yeah.
Right?
There's no template.
I don't mean to harp on the aesthetics of it, but if you give it to somebody else and they feel like it's aesthetically pleasing and we can tell that you put energy and effort into it, we're reading your resumes, we're looking at them. So as long as it's included in there in a logical space and a logical way that shows that you put time and effort into it, that's what we care about.
And white space is your friend. It's okay. You want to make it easy on the eyes. And I mean, I can screen 100 apps in a day. So You know, if it's, like I said, if I open a cover letter and it's a full page, I think, I'm gonna need to go get a cup of tea before I can read this, right? So, you know, again, you wanna have pity on the people, but, you know, we do try to read everything because, I mean, I know how hard they are to write. And every single one of you is a different person. And when I'm looking at the same computer program, I'm looking for the individual. Where's the individual showing through? And your cover letter is really that best place. And then making sure that your resume is good. And I very, very rarely ever see resumes that are poorly done. Yeah. Except if it's going to be 2 pages, make sure there's actually something on the second page. It's not a blank page. Another pet peeve, when I print it and the second page is blank.
Question. So I don't remember if it's your guys' website, but one of yours or the other hospitals, but there's a way to submit either a document or text file, or write copy and paste the text file. Do you prefer just the document and not the text file directly onto the?
When you first go in and it's your very first time like creating a profile with us, it will give you the option of parsing your resume. And again, what is that? And really what that means is you're going to attach your resume, and the computer program is smart, and it's going to take the information that's in your resume and it's going to auto-populate all the fields. If you choose that option, it's certainly much faster, but check it because it's not always that smart. So sometimes it puts things where they're not supposed to be and it's all cattywampus, but I don't even look at that. If there's an attached resume, I go right into the resume because it's so much prettier to look at. Yeah. Yeah, and for all of you, definitely attach a resume. I have a lot of managers that they didn't attach a resume, I'm not sure if they're having to pick up the phone.
Do you start residency programs at certain times of year, or is it just as a needed?
Great question.
The set of classes do have designated start times, but that doesn't prohibit us from putting somebody into a residency program. So what we would do is get you started with your preceptor and have you working out on the floor until the classes start again. Once those classes start again, we would get you started. The way our residency program for med-surg, I can't speak to the other ones, but you can start in the middle as well. So there are some classes that you could go ahead and start, and then once it comes back around again, we would get you to the classes that you needed to complete. But we would definitely be able to get you started without waiting for it to start from the very first class.
It's sort of a rolling hire, just to continuously hire.
Most of the specialty areas will hire new grads year-round. Now, with the exception of the OR, because they are a 6-month residency program, and so they are 6 months, and then the next group starts 6 months. No going in the middle. It's you start here and you start here, and that's it. You know, a lot of what you're going to do, you're going to, learn on the floor with your preceptor. And typically what happens, and I don't know if this may be true with your department as well, but then once the classrooms come, the classroom portion of the residency rolls around, is they'll sit with the preceptors and the educators, and they'll really kind of go down through the list and see what do you need to go to. Yes, yes, no, no, yes, no, yes, no. Or they might just say, you know what, you're going to go to all the classes. It really just depends on when you were hired in, how far away from the residency program is. We want to make sure that you're getting the training that you need, but we're also not going to waste your time. So, fair enough. Yeah, fair.
Do you have a favorite interview question?
We good? Yeah, go for it. Let me see if I'm phrasing it as how it's written. But
she's under pressure.
No, I think okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. I usually ask this one, but yeah. So we all have miscommunications at times. Tell us about the most recent miscommunication you've had with somebody else, either in another department or another area, and what did you do to resolve the miscommunication? Ooh, I got it. Nice. Okay.
So the biggest thing, this goes back to what we were talking about with specific examples. Take a minute. Don't just look at me and say, that's a hard one. Yeah. No. Because
I don't miscommunicate with this.
No, I also never make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's not a one. People,
all the time.
All the time.
It's so funny.
I never make mistakes. I never miscommunicate. I stay away from conflict. Right. Like, okay, you don't live in a bubble. All right. So now I'm really concerned. Because that means either you're lying to me right in the interview, and this is your best foot forward, and you thought I'm going to lie. And then other than that, otherwise you're oblivious. You have no idea what's going around you, and we don't want that working with our patients and our coworkers. So think of those, starting to not have words. Think of those specific examples ahead of time so that when a question like that comes up that you have an example. That's what's gonna make us really excited to hear what you did and what happened and how did you handle it. Those are the people that knock both socks off when they have specific examples like that. But, I mean, those are the type of questions that we're asking about your behavior because we're really trying to get to know you. It is easy for us to teach you to hang an IV bag or put in a catheter. That's no big deal. But if you're going to come on the floor and be rude to our patients and rude to our coworkers and not a part of our culture, that's a huge problem. And so that's what we're trying to get at because we can't teach you to be like that if you're just mean.
And you end up in HR. Then I gotta replace you. And, so one of the things that hits on is that really all of our managers, they're hiring for fit. And fit means, you know, are you a good culture fit? Do you fit in with the values of the organization? We can teach you the skills that you're going to need to be successful in the department, but we're not going to teach you to be nice. We're not going to teach you to be courteous. We're not going to teach you to be honest, right? That was somebody else's job. And, you know, we're going to know, hopefully, in the interview whether they did a good job or not. So again, the interview isn't really a test. It's not like, oh, you're going to pass or fail, right? But it's really about, you know, getting to know you and how do you respond to conflict, and, you know, are you able to articulate yourself well? And my favorite interview question is a very simple question with a very powerful answer from you, and that is, tell me why you're interested in this position. Right? Really easy question, but I've never heard two answers the same. And that's going to tell me so much about why you're coming to this. And my favorite one, I'll just tell you again, because, you know, recruiting is so much fun, but this was an actual internal candidate that the manager was like, I want to hire her. And I said, you know what? She's qualified for the job. You need to interview her. You need to give her, you know, you need to give her an opportunity and take really good notes, you know, through your interview. And so her very first question, tell me why you're interested in this position. And her answer was, well, you know, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. I'm just looking for a different shade of brown. Wow.
Oh my God.
Right? No. So, right? So, exactly. So how do you recover from that in the rest of the interview? You don't. You don't. So again, you want to be thinking about your answers to your questions. It's not a place to be funny and joke. And we've laughed a lot about some of the funny things that we've said, but those people didn't get jobs, right? So don't try to be funny in your interview. It's a serious thing. And again, we're hiring you to take care of our families. So I know I certainly take that very, very seriously. And you know, you never know what's going to happen. I've had nurses that I've hired come down and get my parents out of the ED, and they walk through the door and I go, thank God. Because I know that person was a rock star, and I have my rock star folder. I like to hire rock stars. So be a rock star. Be, you know, put your best foot forward and really be prepared in the interviews. You know, they're always going to ask questions about conflict because there's conflict everywhere. You know, you can't get through life without, you know, some kind of conflict. So, you know, be thinking about those examples. And again, know that you're new. So if they ask a clinical question, they know that the answer that you are going to give is going to be very different to an answer that Sarah would give to that. And we would expect very, very different answers. So it isn't that there's a right answer or a wrong answer. They're looking for your answer. And, you know, how did you answer that question? Did you think about it? Were you able to critically think through the question? Were you able to provide examples? But it's a lot harder to lie when you have to be specific. So, you know, there's method to the madness in how interviews are set up.
And we're looking at how we handle the stress of it. If we ask you a question you don't know the answer to, and you crumble, it's concerning. We're going to put you in a very high stress environment soon.
Or you're going to have to call a doctor and wake him up in the middle of the night. No, you can't get through an interview.
I have one more question. So when these guys apply, are there other testing that they're going to have to take? So do you have some type of competency testing around math or skills or a fit test? You mentioned fit. there are different organizations that are using what we call fit tests that are sort of like graduate records exams. You got 4 soups and you can't serve the pea soup on the same day as the tomato soup.
We used to have that.
Okay.
And it's gone.
No.
Because we had our assessment and we had senior leaders within our organization take it and not do so well. And so back to what we found really, especially in nursing, was that all the new grads did awesome, and all of those of us that had been away from school for a while couldn't tell you how fast the train was going when it left the station. So it didn't get a lot of senior leadership support when they couldn't do so good on it. So after about a year of really, really pushing CHI, it is now gone. So
Okay, I just know
Yeah.
it used to be there. I've taken a few of them. So. And they never tell you the results, so you don't know how you do. Yeah.
Hi, I'm one of those people for whom this is a second career. My first career has nothing to do with nursing. So about letters of recommendation that are professional, I can provide former manager letters of recommendation. Would that be a good thing, preferable to, say, instructor?
Yep, perfect. I usually say clinical instructors, preceptors, previous bosses, all of those work great. That's my little spiel. So if I make job offers to you, you'd be like, hi, I remember her saying that. Yeah, because they're really just looking to, were you on time? Were you nice? Were you a disciplined nightmare? Good questions. Helpful?
Yes.
Thank you. It shouldn't be scary. It can be a little bit nervous, but like I said, the tide's turning. For years I had to go to the students and preach doom and gloom that we had this horrible assessment that you had to pass, and then when you did pass that, well, you were one of 30 people, and I could only call one of you. So those days are gone. So yes, yay! Yeah. So put a lot of thought into your career, and I'm a big person in trusting your gut, and you're gonna know when you're doing your rotations through the different hospitals. Every single hospital is gonna have a different feel to it. It's gonna have a different culture. The people that you are gonna work with, that's why I stay, is that I love the people that I work with. I love the managers that I support. I love doing this. I love being able to come out and answer questions, because I've been there too. I've been new, and in my first round of interviews, and they say, well, what kind of experience do you have? And I think, well, I graduated with honors. Can you guys see my resume? I don't have any experience, right? And then after not getting a job and not getting a job and not getting a job, all of a sudden, this experience thing's kind of important, right? So, it's all you have to do is get your first job, and then guess what? It's your experience.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe up here on the table. These are invitations. We do a new grad event, and even if you're graduating, in August or further on down the road, please feel free to come. We'll do more of them. But really what it's going to do, it's going to be on Monday, March 28th. It's from 4 to 6, and it's going to be at St. Joe's, which is, again, our mothership. But we're bringing all of our managers from all of the different hospitals in one spot, and they're going to set up booths. So we're actually having a competition that you all get to decide who has the best booth. Ladies.
We'll be there.
So,
I'm Amy, this is Stephanie. Very ambulatory care center.
But it's a really great opportunity for you to go around and meet the managers, ask the specific questions for the departments that you're interested in. And again, like I said, even if you're not impending graduation in just a couple of months, just come and check out and see what it's like, see what the hospitals have to offer. And it's just arming yourself with information to help you make better decisions, so that it's not so scary as you're getting up, closer. And the great thing is that when you get a job offer 6 weeks before you graduate, all you got to do is focus on studying and passing your NCLEX. You're not trying to do both and apply and interview and study and all of that. So again, about 6 weeks before you graduate is really when you want to buckle down and start putting in the applications.
I will tell you guys, this is how I started at Franciscan. Erin came to my school. This little drop. I came to this and I met my current boss there, who didn't have any openings, who introduced me to one of the other med-surg managers, and I started there, and
Never look back. Yeah. It was great. And then if you just want to provide any feedback on what would give us the best booth.
Yeah.
We're open to
This
feedback.
too could be you one day, right? You could be coming out and speaking, so, yeah. So I'll leave you over
Chocolate? I
there.
heard chocolate. We're taking more?
Yeah.
Coffee, chocolate? Okay, so we're food motivated.
Yes.
Yes.
Caffeine.
Pretty.
Pretty.
Lights.
Thank you so much for having